Hi guys, today we're going to take a look at the Canon AS-6 underwater dive camera. So this is quite popular in the 80s. I believe this one came out in 1986. Here we have a really fine boxed example. This has never been used, it's literally new in the box. It has been opened a few times by the looks of things, but it's never actually been used outdoors. So as you can see, it's quite a weird looking camera, but I suppose it looks quite similar to any other sort of more modern action cameras you can buy now, like not so much like the GoPro and things, but more like, what is it called, the Fuji Outdoor or something or other, I don't know. Anyway, let's take a little look at this. If we just get the box open. So this is going to be the first in a series of reviews that I'm going to be doing using only one hand and my camera without any editing because it's easier. So first thing we have in the box is a little nylon carry pouch. So this fits the camera with the accessory bracket mounted. By the way, this is the most expensive package you could have got back in the day. So in 1986, you could have bought this one. It would have been the most expensive. It comes with everything you would need. That, you know, you could just buy the basic camera or the camera with one close-up attachment, but this comes with the whole set. So we have, yes, the little nylon pouch here. In typical 80s fashion, it also comes with a matching Canon bum bag or fanny pack. That's really useful. It's got some drain holes in there, the same as these, so you can take it in and out of the water without any problems. Now, I'm just going to try to get this out one-handed. So here we have the main bulk of the items. So it's all laid out in this kind of way, which looks kind of funky. So you have the AS-6 itself, you have a sport finder, so that's for use underwater, a dual battery or film canister. So these have got watertight seals in there, so that's absolutely perfect for if you're going on like an expedition or a trip. I mean, it's designed for taking anywhere from like mountains, mountaineering, things like that, sort of down to sort of like 30 meters underwater. So it's a very universal and very good sort of outdoor camera. So I mean, if you're into sort of outdoors as well as your photography, I'd maybe suggest having a look at one of these. I mean, they're not cheap. I paid just over £100, so that's probably about $120 for this camera. But obviously, you know, it's a fully boxed, complete example. It's brand new. It's never been used, and these are pretty hard to find now, especially in this condition. Next, you have your close-up lens. So this is just literally nothing special really. It is just, let's just scrub that out. It is literally just a little plastic lens. I mean, it's not amazing, but I mean, the build quality feels pretty good. Is what as good as it can do for a plastic lens, I suppose. One thing to note, most of this is plastic. I mean, very durable plastic, and I was kind of worried that over time, the plastic would deteriorate and it would become quite brittle, but I mean, for the most part, it feels very, very solid and there's no sort of real signs of deterioration there. So here you have the actual camera itself. It's a pretty chunky thing. I mean, it is heavier than it looks. It's a lot heavier than any standard point and shoot. I mean, I have sort of other sort of Olympus Trip, other like Helena sort of little snappy cameras from back in the 80s. And I mean, this is quite a heavy camera. You have your battery compartment just here on the bottom, and there's your lens up there at the front. It's a 35mm lens, so it's reasonably wide, pretty good and very universal. You have an auto winder, so all you do is you just push the shutter, and it winds on. That's your little viewer there to see how many exposures you have left. That's to lock the shutter. So you can't actually lock the shutter down. So if you're traveling with this and it's in your bag, you don't need to worry about sort of accidentally taking photos. You also have your flash switch there. It's nice and big, so you can operate that underwater if you're wearing dive gloves, or again, if you're mountaineering, you're wearing gloves. I'm just going to pop the back open. The mechanism here is quite cool. So to open the back up, you have to push this out. It's springy, so it will spring back into place in very good quality. Pull it out, pull it up, and that unlatches. And I just want to show you how new this camera is. So as you can see, that is very, very clean. Never been used. That's just a bit of dust there from where I've opened it. You do have a rubber seal around the outside, and you probably can't see too well, but it is fully intact. There's no deterioration there whatsoever. It does come with a spare set of seals as well, though. I mean, I would suggest if you do look at buying one of these, see if you can get a set of spare seals for it. They don't make them anymore, so they are becoming harder and harder to find, so the more you can get, the better. So that's the camera, and the strap there with a little lens cap that comes with it. It's very cool. This is the accessory bracket, so this you would use on the camera the majority of the time if you're using it outdoors. I mean, it has the tripod screw, so if you want to use that. The camera itself hasn't got one, so it's just basically a rubber coated, you know, like, I mean, it is mainly rubber coated, rubber here. So, I mean, it will take a good blow, you know. It's a very solid, very well built camera. And that's how it was sort of designed. It was designed to last a long time and be very reliable when using outdoors. And like I said, this is the bracket that fits on the front here, so I'm just going to do that for you. So it's going to be a bit tricky to do one-handed. So essentially you push that forward, that comes up. Let's see if we can do it this way. The camera then slides in like that. And then this slides over the top there like that. That was very easy to do one-handed. So that's it with that bracket mounted on. So you can see that kind of gives you a sort of cold shoe mount for the top, a tripod for the bottom, as well as these other holes, which will sort of become apparent in just a second. So that would also sort of, you know, add a little bit of extra protection on there. So it's, again, quite a sturdy case. And your lens mounts on there like that. So you can mount the lens on. And it just quickly clips, which is very, very good. So we can just put the sports viewfinder on now. So that just goes on the top and you slide forwards and it clicks into place. So if you're using that under the water, you can now use that sports finder to compose your shots. One thing about these is it's not particularly easy to see through the viewfinder when you're underwater, especially when you're wearing goggles. So it is best to wear, to use this viewfinder. Then obviously I can go on the front there like that. And this whole sort of setup comes down, so this comes off and that will fit inside the small accessory bag. And then all of that will go inside the big fun pouch, fanny pack, whatever you want to call it. You do have two other things here. You have these two close-up kits, these close-up frames. So this one's for use underwater. You simply unscrew this. Let's use this hand. So the other one there, that's for use on land. They're a little bit weird. I've never really seen them before. I mean, it's just like a big frame that you attach to the camera. Personally, I'd probably just judge the distances myself. So this is something you attach to the bottom of the camera. It kind of sticks out like that. If you can imagine, just underneath there. And the idea is that you can sort of go up and prod things on the reef. And once you've prodded that against, or it's resting gently against the reef, you can then take your picture using your close-up lens without having to compose the shot too much. Obviously, not being an SLR or anything like that, you've got no sort of direct view through the lens. So it is all sort of through this viewfinder, through this one. And this is really for just a rough idea of where the shot's going to be. It's never going to be too accurate, you know, especially not with a point and shoot like this. But yeah, you can sort of line it up. It gives you the correct sort of focal distance there. So you will be able to make sure you've got a nicely composed shot. So I mean, that's pretty much it really. I mean, I will definitely do a more in-depth view where I show you some examples of these photographs. I'm heading to Mexico later on this year in September, so I will be taking this camera with me. That's kind of the idea. I wanted something I could dive with on the reefs and yeah, explore and see what's actually sort of going down. Yeah, I hope you found this video useful. I know there's not a hell of a lot of videos about the AS-6 on the internet or on YouTube currently. So I just wanted to make one where I kind of show you the whole package rather than just the camera. A lot of them have solely been focusing just on the camera. I would recommend, if you can get the whole kit, it's worth it. I mean, the pouch is very well made here. I mean, if you're a fan of, like, you know, 80s, 90s fashion, then, you know, you won't be worried about wearing this around. But I mean, It's a very good storage bag. It's perfect if you're just taking it on a trip, if you're going diving or something. You know, you can wear that with you in the water. You can just, you know, leave it on the boat, but it's perfect. You know, you can sling it over your shoulder. Again, for traveling and things, this is probably the best camera you can take with you. Obviously, the best camera is the camera you've got in your hand, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking to do a bit of traveling, if you're like traveling to, you know, Africa, Asia, and you're going to be gone for a little while, I would recommend this camera if you wanted to use film format rather than digital. I know a lot of people a lot of people are moving away from film now, but then there's also quite a resurgence of film, so a lot more people are starting to use film again, and this is definitely one of the better sort of more robust point and shoot cameras. It's like, I mean, if you're a fan of lithography, this is again a pretty good example. It doesn't really meet the characteristics of a typical lithography camera. They tend to be sort of cheap and plasticky, where this is more of a, not so much professional, but it's more robust, and it's not particularly cheap. I think these retail, you know, well, not retail, but you can pick these up on like eBay, anywhere between sort of like 30 to sort of £50. I guess that's like $60-70, something like that, for just the camera alone. But I mean, if you keep looking around and have a bit of patience, there are fine examples like this fully complete. And I would recommend, if you can get the complete set, then it's definitely worth it. I mean, the film canisters allow you to carry extra film, keep them dry and safe in there. Again, you've got the macro lens you can use for, well, close-up lens they call it, I guess. It's not quite macro. And then you get these two cool cases with them as well. Like, you know, I mean, these cases alone were probably worth about £12-13. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. So I hope you've found this video somewhat useful, and stay tuned. I will be uploading a better, more professional review of this camera as soon as I get my computer back up and running and I get my cameras all set up again. Cheers, thank you.